people were talking like Chat GPT. They were just rolling out this answer. And as it happened, I actually asked the same questions that these leaders of major universities in America were asked. I asked the same question to ChatGPT, and ChatGPT got it right. Said actually calling for genocide is regarded as being unacceptable.
Welcome back again, ladies and gentlemen. Let's look at this. So this is a video obviously going around lately, and this is about people from Harvard, from Penn, from these big universities, those Ivy League ones, you know, the super rich, the wealthy, etc., you know, not everyone can get into it, blah, 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 that crap. This politician here asked him a simple question. Is it against your policy to call for the genocide of Jewish people? Now, you probably know in your heart what you believe. If whatever you believe, do you think it's okay that people can openly talk about it? I mean, where does the freedom of speech come into it? I mean, let me know below in the comments. Do you think it's all right that people can openly call for a genocide of people who believe in a religion or who are a certain race? Let me know below, because I know one thing. And if someone came out and called for the genocide of, let's say, for Chinese people or the genocide of black people, people would lose their freaking minds. But let's just have a listen at this.
Dr. Kornbluth, at MIT, does calling for the genocide of Jews violate MIT's code of conduct or rules regarding bullying and harassment? Yes or no?
If targeted at individuals, not making public statements.
Yes or no? Calling for the genocide of Jews does not constitute bullying and harassment?
I have not heard calling for the genocide for Jews on our campus.
But you've heard chants for intifada.
I've heard chants, which can be anti-Semitic depending on the context, when calling for the elimination of the Jewish people.
Can be anti-Semitic. Pretty funny that, right? But let's just remember, this is the University of Harvard, for example, which, I mean, Penn, they do the exact same thing. They all are, you know, sniffing each other's buttocks, believing that they are better than the normal people like me and you, who work to better ourselves and also who work to supply for our families, right? But anyway, as you can see here, what constitutes bullying and harassment at Harvard? A mandatory title training last year warned all undergraduate students that just said terrorist sexism, fat phobia, and using the wrong pronouns qualified as abuse and perpetuated violence on campus. Yes, so that is fine, but saying, you know, calling for an intifada and also calling for the death of Jews and the genocide of Jews, etc., as these students have said on campuses in Harvard, etc., where students, Jewish students, were actually hiding. And yet again, I'm not choosing a side in this, but I believe when there's straight hate speech, straight genocide, calling for the genocide, either answer the question yes or no. There isn't like a gray area in this. It's either you are calling for it or you're not. So I would rather these universities say, no, it doesn't, you know, go against our rules, and you move on, because then you at least know where they stand. You can call them out on it, whatever you want to do. But when you don't allow fat phobia, when you don't allow misgendering, but you allow this, there is, you know, there's a moral conundrum here. And look, I am a person who loves free speech. I mean, in Australia and New Zealand, if you said these things in just the street, for example, you say, I hate this group, you would be arrested, because that constitutes as hate speech in New Zealand and Australia, and that is illegal. All right, so it's not like America. You got much more freedom to kind of say what you want to say, but I want them to post these people's faces, the ones that actually ask for this genocide, so people know who they're dealing with. So people know not to ever hire these psychos, just in my opinion. Let's keep listening.
So those would not be according to the MIT's code of conduct or rules?
That would be investigated as harassment if pervasive and severe.
Ms. McGill, at Penn, does calling for the genocide of Jews violate Penn's rules or code of conduct? Yes or no?
Just look at her little smile here, right? Like, just have a little look at her smile. Because she knows, you know, I'm going to answer this where I'm going to find a way around your question, because none of them answer a yes or no question. Have you noticed more and more recently, no one just answers a question yes or no. People can't do it anymore. It's like impossible for them.
If the speech turns into conduct, it can be harassment. Yes.
I am asking specifically calling for.
Sorry, I got to pause again. But if the speech turns into conduct, so into conduct means actually people doing it, then it could, she said. So literally, if you say something and it turns into someone actually doing genocide to the Jewish people, then it could be against their policy. Wouldn't she have better said, if it does turn to conduct, that it is definitely, instead of saying it could? Yeah, it's very evil, just kind of those mannerisms that they talk with.
For the genocide of Jews, does that constitute bullying or harassment?
If it is directed and severe or pervasive, it is harassment.
So the answer is yes.
It is a context-dependent decision, Congresswoman.
It's a context-dependent decision. That's your testimony today. Calling for the genocide of Jews is depending upon the context. That is not bullying or harassment. This is the easiest question to answer yes, Ms. McGill. So is your testimony that you will not answer yes?
If it if the
Yes
speech
or no?
becomes if the speech becomes conduct, it can be harassment. Yes.
Conduct meaning committing the act of genocide? The speech is not harassment? This is unacceptable, Ms. McGill. I'm going to give you one more opportunity for the world to see your answer. Does calling for the genocide of Jews violate Penn's code of conduct when it comes to bullying and harassment? Yes or no?
It can be harassment.
The answer is yes. And Dr. Gay, at Harvard, does calling for the genocide of Jews violate Harvard's rules of bullying and harassment? Yes or no?
It can be, depending on the context.
What's the context?
Targeted as an individual, at an individual.
It's
Severe,
targeted at
pervasive.
Jewish students, Jewish individuals. Do you understand your testimony is dehumanizing them? Do you understand that dehumanization is part of anti-Semitism? I will ask you one more time. Does calling for the genocide of Jews violate Harvard's rules of bullying and harassment? Yes or no?
Anti-Semitic rhetoric. When
And is it
crosses into
anti-Semitic rhetoric?
Anti-Semitic rhetoric, when it crosses into conduct that amounts to bullying, harassment, intimidation, that is actionable conduct, and we do take action.
Okay. These people are disgusting. These people are sick. These people choose their battles. You know, they don't just stand up for whatever, because first of all, you would never ban fat phobia or misgendering people, but to say anti-Semitic or even just racist things apparently to Jews is fine. But let's just flip the role. Like I said before, if someone came out in the middle of a class and said, you know, or did protests and said genocide against all black people, or genocide against Chinese people, or genocide against, you know, Mexican people, there would be a gigantic backlash. I mean, every single news station would be talking about it. Every single person would be calling it out. There would be riots in the streets, billions of dollars of damage, people dying. That person would probably be arrested. But apparently, if it's against Jewish people or against white people, it seems to be fine. Yeah, I guess that's the moral conundrum that people have in America at the moment. More and more you see this sort of rhetoric, and yeah, there's a reason why people aren't traveling to America as much as they used to. I mean, I would love to go to America. I already said that. The reason why I'd want to go is for college sports, for the NFL, you know, for sport mainly, and for the food. But I would not be traveling to America the way it's going. I see more and more of this rhetoric where it's pretty much you're not allowed to be white, it seems. And, you know, if you love being white, for example, then you're a racist. But if you love being Hispanic or if you love being black, then that's fine. So it's very weird. It's a very weird situation. And, you know, to see that colleges promote this sort of thing, it makes people even less likely to travel there. And of course, I would love to travel to parts like Dakota, South Dakota, places like that where you'd probably feel safer and you'll be able to see nature. You'll be able to see all cool things and stuff. But I mean, the big cities like Philadelphia, New York, Los Angeles, all those kind of cities, I am never going to again. I've been there once before when I was younger, but I'm probably never going to go there again, to be honest. Now let's have a quick listen here to Douglas Murray answering this question. You know, is this a hard question to answer? What do you think about the situation? He answers it very well.
First of all, it's the result, as the Israeli president told me in an interview yesterday, of decades of moral rot in the universities. As you say, Rita, these are places where people have lost their jobs because they've identified the fact of biological sex and haven't been willing to lie about it. These are institutions that have banned, for instance, members of the Trump administration from speaking on campus. These are institutions that have spent years telling us all about microaggressions, which don't seem to care very much about the biggest form of aggression imaginable, genocide, who've told us all about, you know, hurty feelings and the importance of stamping out hate, and who can't condemn the most obvious and evil and prominent form of hate in history when it's put to them in Congress. I mean, none of these people are fit for purpose. I said when I saw these smirking responses from people like that president of the Penn State University, you know, the sort of I worked out at first, what's she doing? Why has she got this like knowing grin on her face? And I realized, well, first of all, it's of course sort of legalese, isn't it? It's this kind of, I'm going to give you a clever legal answer that doesn't leave my institution open to legal cases brought by, for instance, Jewish students for harassment. So she thought she was doing something terribly clever. You know, what also finally I thought, Rita, was these people were talking like ChatGPT. They were just rolling out this answer. And as it happened, I actually asked the same questions that these leaders of major universities in America were asked. I asked the same question to ChatGPT, and ChatGPT got it right. Said actually calling for genocide is regarded as being unacceptable.
Funny that, yeah. AI has more sympathy than these people. But yeah, we'll end it on that one. I mean, like I said, I'm not choosing a side in this anymore. You know, this war is not affecting me on my shores. I'm not going to be a part of it. We don't know what the truth is, so I'm not being a part of it. But when I see people out there literally just calling for genocide, calling for just actual racism, as you've seen in previous videos, where people don't allow people to get things just because they are Jewish, or just because they are this, just because they're that, I will always call that out, and I will kind of bring it to light and show everyone what it is, and you can make your own mind up on it, right? Because at the end of the day, it's about you having your own opinion. But anyway, I'll end on that one. Please like the video if you liked it. Comment, let me know what you think. What do you think about these heads of these universities? Let me know below in the comments. And please subscribe. It's the best way to support the channel. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.